Lofton with his team down by 2 to the corner. Caputo! No good! And it's over! St. Louis is going dancing. An unlikely run. Tying his career high. Dribbles it out. And here they come. The student section scores the Cardinals at St. Louis. Possession game. Mitchell. Cassidy. Ellis.
Got to get a shot off. It's got to be a 3.
Ellis. Mitchell for the tie. Got it!
Runner off the glass, no. Tip battle loose. Evans is absolutely decked by Gant. Evans stays in the game.
Speaking of leveling,
Conklin leveled Wilcox, and he's down for the count. Driving Evans for Conklin layup. Good whistle foul. Count the basket. You want to play rough? You want to play rough? Let's play.
Assume they're not going to foul you. Just take it right to the rim. Goodwin, 2 for the tie, 3 for the win. Goodwin takes it in, and he got it. We're tied. Overtime. Here we come.
Welcome to the House that Rick Built podcast with your hosts, Colin Kessler and Zach Miller. This show is sponsored by Mortgage Partners Group, where mortgage solutions are made simple.
Timeout on the floor. 68-46 St. Louis. This is Billiken basketball.
Welcome back to the House that Rick Built podcast, brought to you by Mortgage Partners Group, where mortgage solutions are made simple. Give Jason a call at 314-422-0649. Back with episode number 82. I'm your host, as always, Colin Kessler, joined as usual by Zach Miller. Zach, how are you doing?
I am doing all right. Look at that shirt you're wearing. Good Lord. Somebody's been shopping in their daddy's closet.
Little St. Louis Rams action. You know, I'll be honest, that's probably for 2 reasons. One, I don't know when the last time people wore like the blue jean t-shirt or whatever, the button downs, and then the Rams logo. I mean, it's the only semblance of football we have right now from the city of St. Louis. Although, thanks to The Rock, we might have football back in St. Louis. Shout out to the Battlehawks maybe coming back, huh?
Yeah, that would be fun. And we will not get into a conversation of whether or not SLU should or should not have football. I like the denim button-up look. It's a good look.
Yeah, I need to get us some SLU denim button-ups or just, some other SLU apparel.
I know they're out there somewhere.
Jerseys. Anyway,
workout gear.
Yeah, right. Free
Ford.
Free merchandise.
Mike Wilson.
Yeah. Man, it's been a really hectic year, and I think this feels like maybe the first episode we've had that we've gotten to do outside of the interviews that we did during the quarantine and everything, where it feels like there is new information. Obviously, there is some new information to discuss, but this isn't going to be doom and gloom. There will be a little bit of it. But there is positives. There is hope. There is hope on the horizon for this show, for this season, and for the St. Louis University Billikens. But before we talk about the season specifically, and really just what we're looking at right now, I guess if you want to call it that, there is I don't know how to describe it right now, and I don't want to mischaracterize it, but there's this semi-rumor, semi-in-the-works, semi-kind of approved reclassification of winter sports athletes in the sense that – there goes my phone. Sorry, Peter. Don't get mad at me. There is this reclassification thing happening with winter sports athletes in that there's an ability potentially for seniors to stay another year.
It's bizarre, man. I don't get it. Like, at this point, we're trying to play – I can understand some people being hesitant to put their health on the line, if you will, but we've seen this stuff work in bubbles, and we've seen. I mean, if college football can do it at a decent clip, I think college basketball can do it no problem. I think I just don't understand the hesitance, I guess, to not play.
Now, I do have to clarify this statement in a tweet from Jeff Goodman at Goodman Hoops, if you want to go look at this yourself. Clarification: whether winter sports athletes can transfer and still receive additional year eligibility. They can have extra year. If they transfer, their aid counts against new school team scholarship limits. If they don't transfer, extra year does not count against limits. So it's not just that anyone on the team can, any seniors or upperclassmen on the team can ask for an extra year of eligibility. It sounds to me like it's essentially what redshirt transfers, getting another shot or getting an extra year of eligibility to play. I still, even now, I'm like, I don't understand how this works. And West Pine Warriors have brought it up a number of times. The scholarship limits on teams, and the amount of players and the teams can hold in their rosters. It's just going to get really interesting. And I know I'm doing a terrible job of explaining this because I truthfully do not understand in total what this is, but I can clarify on some of the impacts, because as West Pine is talking about, with the opportunity for teams that were planning on having these guys for a set number of years, with new talent coming in, whether it's freshmen or transfer talent, you have players and rosters that are going to be loaded down with more players than they expected. Meaning, in simple math, there are going to be a lot of pretty good, above average, and maybe top tier D1 talents that aren't going to have a place to play. So this is really the only thing that I've taken away from this that I can truly understand and apply to anything. And again, I'll give another shout out to West Pine. There's a number of people out there, Carter Chapley as well. But this is going to get interesting to see where some of these top tier players end up going, and whether or not SLU can be an active player and maybe bringing in one of these guys.
I think no doubt that Travis Ford is already looking at this angle. He's shown a willingness and the ability to think outside the box when building his teams. And I think he's in spades shown his ability to sell players on his program. I mean, he is this is an obscure movie reference, but he is the Don Reddy of college basketball coaches.
Yeah,
He will sell anything.
I think that went right over my head.
Yeah, I'm sure it went over most people's head.
Well, good for you, looking smart over there.
Yeah,
but
well.
I think that the interesting thing here is going to be what credibility is given to this season, because if people can look at the Billikens, and this also gets into the conversation of what the schedule looks like, what the level of competition we face, and the legitimacy that is given to the season that the Billikens end up playing. So if they just go through the A10 and only face an A10, conference schedule with some minor non-conference opponents, anyone that's saying, oh, well, what about Nebraska or whatever, we'll get into it in a second. But the point being, if SLU doesn't have the level of schedule we were expecting prior to COVID and the kind of collapse of organized sports into a different format, there would be a certain level of decency and legitimacy with that schedule. If that is taken away, then how seriously do transfer recruits look at St. Louis University in the season that they're having, or going to have, I should say? So that's where this Nebraska thing is going to be big. That's where finding ways to fit in other non-conference games. I mean, have we heard about Minnesota yet?
I haven't heard anything, man. It's everything's so up in the air. It's day to day. I mean,
I think Boston College is still, as of right now, knock on wood here, as of right now, still.
I can't believe they're still. I mean, for a team to travel all the way from, unless they have another game, unless they're doing just a road swing.
Well, but you say that, but then when we take a chance to look at it from the Billikens' perspective, I guess, we play in the Atlantic 10. We literally are playing all East Coast teams.
But it's going to be a bubble. You're talking about a one-off game against Boston College versus what will be probably a month-long bubble.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And I guess the only other thing I could say about that would be is if from where we're sitting right now until when this season starts, if these MTEs expand and it becomes enough games that you can play literally a full, quote unquote, full non-conference season in these bubbles, then yeah, the Boston College, the Minnesota games get bumped, or maybe Minnesota ends up playing the Nebraska MTE. That seems kind of like a reasonable possibility. I don't know. I really haven't looked into it. I'm just bantering, but I don't know. There are still some good opponents out there, but back to the original topic anyways, that there's a chance for this season and this eligibility situation to bode incredibly well for SLU to get talents that they might not have otherwise.
Our job was so much easier. Like we knew the schedule. We didn't by like it's just amazing like how much extra attention he has to be paid now.
Well, and it's
That
funny because I don't understand half of it. If I'm being honest, like I'm not. I mean, I think I'm a pretty smart.
and we're working on getting a guest on to kind of give us at least a little insight into what exactly is going on. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, some of the biggest things right now for us to be able to do would be to get more people to come on and shine a light either from the inside or just explain it with more knowledge and understanding of the situation. We probably should get Peter on at some point here because he seems like the type of person that would know something. But point being in all this, right now there's so much that's being thrown around that's either subject to change, and subject to change means it could literally, like tomorrow, something could be completely different and not remotely the same. And so you're right. I mean, thinking back to this time last year and what we were doing and where we were sitting at, like I'm getting ready to, in the next day or two, start to write the preseason blog again. But I'm sitting there looking at it going, there's not a lot of games I can sit here and talk about. There's not really a schedule. I mean, the conference pairings are out, but who knows if those end up ultimately staying the same, or maybe they change and they go, I don't know. I don't know. And I'm not going to sit here and come up with random possibilities. But again, I think that what you're seeing with this is just kind of case in point for not just sports, but the entire year, and that no one has any idea. We're moving in a direction, and you figure it out along the way. But again, as I said, this could be huge for SLU if they can find a way to capitalize on it. That starts with loading up as much as you can in the non-conference and having a really good year. That's all I can really – at this point, that's all I could really explain from it. Like I said, I still don't understand half of it.
Yeah, no, it's such a absolute cluster that I mean, it's just hard to know.
It's ridiculous. It is very ridiculous. The next thing I'll talk about briefly, speaking of recruiting, and not that it really needs to be touched on that heavily, but we'll talk about it for a second. Why not? Since the last time we recorded a podcast, Jordan Nesbitt announced his declaration, or his, where he committed somewhere. He's not going to St. Louis University. He's going to Memphis. It's disappointing. I mean, not mad or upset or whatever about it. I mean, it is what it is. Thought we had a really good chance of getting a local recruit and continuing the chain of having St. Louis talent stay in St. Louis and play for the Billikens. That being said, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't that broken up about it.
No, I mean, and I think that has a lot to do with the fact that Travis Ford is kind of like, he wins some, he loses some, and when he wins big, and if you're going to win big, you have leeway to lose on one, like Nesbitt.
Yeah, and I think the other part of it is too, Zach, when you look at, and we've talked about it many times before, but when you look at the team and the talent pool that Travis Ford has amassed at St. Louis University right now, you're looking at a Coro coming next year off of his redshirt year this year. You're looking at a team stacked with now sophomores that are all going to continue to grow, continue to get more talented. When you've got a front court of a Coro and Jimmy Bell, Jimmy being a junior, Coro being a redshirt junior. You've got Gibson Jimerson. You've got Fred Thatch. You've got Yuri Collins. You've got a year or two. So this year wasn't make or break. Was it a good time to capitalize and continue the momentum? Sure. Would you like to have him? Absolutely. But you've given yourself that little bit of breathing room. And that to me is almost an amazing thing because it feels like it's been forever since we've been able to even say that. I mean, really it has since Majerus.
Yeah, I mean, you've got, again, you have a Coro coming in. He's here. He's going to replace French. That's a seamless transition. I think the only person you worry about is who's going to replace Jordan Goodwin, which, I mean, and obviously you're going to worry about who's going to replace Perkins. But
I think if you look at the senior class right now, there's 3 really hugely talented players, not just in terms of pure skill, but leadership. And that's the leadership part of it is what I'm really curious about after this season and how this team kind of handles not having, at the very least, Goodwin and French in the locker room as they have for 4 years now.
yeah, I really like Yuri Collins as a leader. I think he is going to be massive as involved in the leadership in this team. I think Okoro is going to come in. I think he'll take a bit of a leadership role, just being an older guy on the team. I'm not so much worried about leadership. I mean, you've got a lot of guys with good heads.
I'm not saying I'm worried about it, though. I'm just saying I'm curious what it's going to be like.
Sure. I think you've got a lot of guys with a lot of good heads on their shoulder, and I think they will find, the two. I think you're looking at probably an Okoro, a Fred Thatch, a Yuri Collins type led team.
Yeah.
I think definitely Fred Thatch will be involved in that. Dude, it's easy to forget players on this team because there's so many good ones.
Yeah, what a nice problem that is to have right now for us.
Who would have that problem? Couldn't be us.
Yeah, wasn't us for a little while there. No, I think for me, the way I look at it, Yuri Collins, I see as a very much on the court leader. Like that, I don't question at all. And I'm not that I question his off the court leadership, but I don't know, is he the outspoken guy that can go into the locker room and tell everyone, we got to pick it up, we got to do this, we got to do that. I mean, you like being in the post-game press conference stuff last year and listening to Jordan Goodwin or Hassan French or those guys talk and speak, you could just hear that, one, they were speaking for the team and you felt that. And you also can see by the emotion on the court that it was just clear those guys were the ones that were in charge of the spirit of this team. And that's just, I think it'll be interesting to see. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think you got a lot of talent and a lot of people that'll have played together for a long time. So ultimately, I think it'll do just fine. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But regardless, we are now talking about something completely unrelated to Jordan Nesbitt. So I guess that shows how concerned we were about it. I don't know. Is that a good sign or a bad sign?
I mean, we just weren't the team to back the Brinks truck up.
Well, okay. We're not going to go there. But anyway, moving on. The Orlando Invitational Tournament that SLU was scheduled to play in, obviously, as everyone knows, got broken up, or at least for the sake of our concern as Billikens fans, we are no longer involved in that tournament.
It's done like dinner.
How are we feeling about that? I mean, apart from the obvious.
I mean, I would feel a little more concerned if, like, the tournament hadn't lost its top 5 teams already, or top.
Yeah.
It lost so many teams with Gonzaga leaving. I don't know. I can't remember who else left, but Gonzaga was being the main one. Yeah, I'm not too worried. I think we'll find something. Travis Ford has enough connections and enough teams are looking to fill their schedule. And yeah, I think there's a certain couple teams around this area that we should be looking at to play.
Yeah, as Charlie Marlowe, excuse me.
Yeah.
Wow, that's not a great way to do this. Let's try this again. As Charlie Marlowe pointed out, there might be a little bit of room maybe for a SLU Mizzou matchup. Maybe. I mean, why not? It
I
seems
still
like
think they're huge wussies and won't do it. But
well, I mean, we'll find
if
out.
not now, when? If not now, it's never. If not now, if not in the ideal time where both teams are scrambling to put schedules together, when you're trying to eliminate flights, if you're not going to play us now, I never want to hear the name Mizzou ever again.
You know,
I don't care. We have nothing to gain.
yeah. Well, and that's actually that is a point that I was thinking about as well, because it's not just Mizzou. I personally would also love to see SLU play Illinois. One, that would be a great game to get on the schedule.
Yeah.
But two, whether you think that they deserve to be on the same court or not, I'm talking to Illinois fans, not SLU fans, obviously. But whether you think that or not, those are regional matchups that really should be yearly things. I mean, these are, and again, there's always going to be that conversation, that back and forth, that somehow SLU is not in the same caliber or on the same level as Illinois or Mizzou, and I can promise you that's not the case with SLU right now.
And let's be real: if you think that, you're a gigantic piece of shit.
Okay, so we're gonna put a language barrier on this one.
And just bleep it. Screw it. But no, if you honestly believe that any team in the NCAA, unless you're an ACC or unless you're ACC, you have no room to not put a regional team on your schedule based on quote unquote belonging on the court together.
Yeah, I mean, and especially here's the thing, I guess, that really frustrates me the most. Every year you have the arch rivalry game where Mizzou and Illinois come into St. Louis and play a game. Why then is St. Louis University not involved in playing at least one of those two teams while they're in town, if not both?
Yeah, I mean, it really should be a 4-team round robin tournament. It should be. I don't know.
We talked about this before, though. Yeah, you could throw in a lot of different teams there.
There are a ton of them that you could throw in.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess you would throw an Illinois team in like. I mean, SIU Carbondale is the first thing that comes to mind because SIUE doesn't really draw.
Well,
Carbondale draw.
I mean, Carbondale is also a team, and we talked about this before as well. Team on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
What the rise looks like, I don't really know.
Chris Mullen was really good for them.
Well, but they had him. But I mean, it was a very
Ryan Mullins.
You know, it's funny because last season feels like 15 years ago, and I don't even know if I could remember half the games from last year.
I went to my trip to Mexico. Feels like it was like 3 years ago, and that was November. That's coming up. Like that's like a month away from.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. It's I think that really set in though right away for me, sitting there looking at us or going through the Twitter timeline of would have been March of 19 to March of 20, where we were talking about Billikens winning the A10 tournament to where we're talking about seasons canceled. Boy, that was a fun one.
Yeah.
No, I mean, getting back to the regional matchup there, I think this was a really great time for it. I think that it would be an exciting series of games. I think that regardless of what you feel about, SLU compared to Illinois or Mizzou, obviously this is a SLU Billikens podcast, so there's going to be strong feelings in support of the Billikens. But regardless, you're in St. Louis, so you're going to draw teams that way for SLU. Mm-hmm. And then couple in the fact that you're going to get people that'll travel from Columbia. You're going to get people that'll travel from Champaign. They'll come into St. Louis and watch games for their respective teams, no matter really who they're playing. And I mean, I don't see why you couldn't make that happen. And right now, and I want to talk
There's
about
one reason. We know that reason. We know the exact reason why you can't make that happen.
Well, you're right. But to your point, this is a season in which I don't know that people.
I don't know why the Blues aren't trying to do a St. Louis bubble.
That's actually a valid question. Now, I don't know what the worth of that is for them, whether there's worth and
I don't
value or
think
not.
there's any worth. I think it's,
Well, you know, I think right now, to your point earlier in this conversation, this is a time where teams are scrambling to try to put together non-conference schedules in the shortest amount of time that they've ever had. And there are going to be teams
I guess
playing
I should have
games.
said I guess I should have said Missouri Sports Commission or St. Louis Sports Commission or whatever it is.
Right.
Not
Yeah, I was
the
gonna say,
Blues.
I don't
Yeah.
know why. Yeah. But I get your point. Um, but like this is a time where teams are scrambling in ways that they never have. They're in situations and positions that they've never been in before. And this is the time to capitalize and be like, look, if you lose this year, who really cares? It gives you motivation to come back next year. And, if you felt like you should have, pummeled us into the ground last year or, this year, then let's play again next year when, hopefully things, knock on wood again, are back to normal. And the same should be said about a lot of teams. Like this shouldn't be a difficult situation. And again, I want to touch on it a little bit later, but it's all preseason stuff. And as we talked about, everything at this point is completely subject to change. But SLU has been top 30, top 40 ranked. I've seen them in a lot of different spots already in preseason polls. Why is that not like, why are we like vying for relatively competitive games and high level games against high level like schools?
I think it's a double-edged sword for teams like St. Louis University, who are not massive names, and I guess it doesn't matter anymore because it's all analytics at this point. It's not you're not worrying so much about getting fans in the stands for a name opponent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's all analytics. So I don't see necessarily why it should be an issue, but I think obviously it's difficult. It's a double-edged sword as a really, really good non-name recognition team whereas you're attractive for other people in the analytics, but the name value isn't there.
Yeah. Here's a question that's occurred to me. Is there, and this is very SLU specific, excuse me, I can't talk tonight, but
I love the
is there,
Pacific Ocean.
yeah, there you go. Is there a fear for teams that are considered, Power 5 or bigger names in college basketball to come and play SLU right now, considering that they're playing this, as we saw last year, this bully ball style of basketball, where it's not going to be, running a huge playbook at you. It's going to be beating you up on the inside, forcing you to commit silly fouls, getting guys out of the game, and just manhandling you down low. Is that a style of basketball that teams don't want to come play? I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't. But then again, I don't know. I feel like it's a style of play that they don't necessarily control if they don't match up personnel-wise.
That's actually a perfectly reasonable thought. I think definitely, these highly skilled athletic teams from the big conferences like the ACC or the Big Ten definitely don't want to come in and they want to play a skilled game. They want to beat you with their shooting, with their ability to get to the rim. They don't want to have to fight to win.
Yeah.
They don't want to have a physical fist fight to win a game.
Well, I won't take offense to the fact that you sounded surprised that I made a reasonable point. It does feel like the top tier, like you were talking about, like an ACC or something, where you've got a lot of one and done guys. It's kind of maybe it's a pseudo NBA where you got it's not so much one-on-one, but there are more one-on-one opportunities where guys are just trying to show off their skill set. And that's also just the best way for some teams to score because you've just got unbelievably talented scorers. I don't know. I mean, that's a much deeper conversation, but the point remains, as you made it, it feels like this is the time in the year for a game or games like Illinois, Mizzou to happen. Illinois playing SLU, Mizzou playing SLU. This is the time to make it happen. Is it going to happen? Probably not, unfortunately. But we can keep the hope alive there, I suppose.
Yes.
Speaking of games that are happening, and I guess we can't really confirm anything as of this moment except for SLU's involvement in it. But the MTE is working to, I guess, create early season bubbles.
What is the MTE?
You know what? I said I was going to figure it out, and I didn't. And that just makes me look awful. While I'm looking it up, though, the MTEs, which are in their base format, essentially bubbles of teams coming together and playing round-robin style circuits of games with these set groups of teams. I don't remember what the title is. That's the problem. I don't remember what it stands for.
I cannot find a GD place that explains this.
Well,
Oh,
you know,
multi-team events. I had to do 2 Google searches and scroll down five results to get it.
if it makes you feel any better, my top result was my thoughts exactly. So I guess that just defines 2020, really. So SLU is out of Orlando, but now it appears that they are heading to this Nebraska MTE. And right now, the teams that it seems like we might have a chance to play include Oklahoma State. I'm trying to look at other, like, that's the problem with this, because I don't want to just say random team names and have it not be right. But I know Oklahoma State's been mentioned in there.
That would be wild.
That would be interesting, just considering the Travis Ford element of it. So Stu Durando, we'll go with Stu because I like Stu. That's completely irrelevant to why I just picked this. But it appears SLU has 7 games more or less set with 4 at home and 3 that would be played in Lincoln. Most of those opponents are TBA. So again, you can't really, I mean, this is the point I'm getting at here. And this is why this is such a completely disjointed episode, because even as we speak, it's like you're waiting for new information to come out while we're doing a podcast. But it appears SLU has 7 games more or less set with 4 at home and 3 that would be played in Lincoln. Most of those opponents are TBA. A scheduled game at Minnesota may hinge on Big Ten scheduling decision. That would leave 1 or 2 non-conference to add. So basically what you're going to see, as we've kind of alluded to, and again, you're still trying to figure it out one way or the other because everything can change in a second. The MTEs are going to be essentially your non-conference games. And if you get lucky, maybe you get 1 or 2 after the MTEs. Seems like that would be unlikely because you can't create a bubble for that situation. I'm shocked that the MTE format hasn't just essentially become non-conference, and you're going to get this group for non-conference. But maybe that's
I mean, I would take, like, I don't even know how to do it. But again, I always said I don't know.
I don't know. Again, there's no good answer to this. There's no, like, I've said it already.
So glad I don't work in college athletics.
Well, I've said it already. I'll say it again.
Shout out.
I have no clue what is going on. I mean, I really, like, apart from just being able to read Twitter feeds and research stories, it doesn't even matter. Some of the most educated people on this don't even know themselves because it's all real time happening as we speak. And the crazy part about that is we're a month and a half out from when these games are set to start. I think it's like back in November. I mean, that's just, it's incredibly weird. And it puts us in a position where we just kind of sit here and go, yeah, well, that sounds great. Again, another tweet from Stu. Early indication is that Lincoln would give SLU 2 potential top 50 net opponents, whereas Orlando opponents in original field would have been a crapshoot because of their leaving. I added the because of their leaving myself. But I think the West Pine guys, they said something about the Oklahoma State. So I guess that's in there, and that's where I pulled that from. So if I'm wrong on that, then I've just, basically plagiarized half of West Pine's Twitter account tonight, and I'm plagiarizing everyone else on the way through here. I mean, this is what it is. Like, hopefully, as Zach said, we get someone who can come on and give real, like, reliable, from the source information on this. But I don't even know that would matter because those guys right now don't even know. Those guys are going, here's what we're talking about. Maybe it happens, but, like, we still don't know. That's crazy. That is insane. So that's where we're at. I mean, the Nebraska MTE. Look forward to it. I don't know what else to say about it other than look forward to it. We have games.
I'm excited for games.
We have 7
I won't.
games.
Yeah.
And you know what? If we play Maryville University all 7 games in Lincoln, Nebraska, I still won't be mad.
I will watch since we're already there, I will watch the shit out of that.
Yeah, no, this is already getting the tag. It's just there's nothing we could do about it at this point. So there.
I'm
there you go.
fired up.
Yeah, I'm done rambling about this and sounding like an idiot. Nebraska MTE. We're looking forward to it. Hopefully there's more information, and as we have information, we will let you know. Another scheduling change. This one I'm not so much either surprised nor upset about because it doesn't disappear, just gets pushed back next year. And I think this was kind of something that we were assuming would happen for a long time.
Reported by us first.
Well, there you go. So
I just want to let everybody know that.
Shout out to the house that Rick built.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, John Rothstein.
Well, yeah, fair enough. I mean, hey, John Rothstein, he hasn't quit. COVID did not hit John Rothstein, not even his Twitter account. Talk about zero self-awareness and feel for a situation. All he knows is college basketball. The Memphis home and home was pushed back to next year. Not surprising at all. Completely.
No,
expected.
it's a made for big arenas with fans game. Obviously the FedEx Forum, rather than Memphis's home arena.
I mean, the thing is, and this was something else, and I'm not trying to revisit a lot of the conversations we've already had, but this was something I was thinking about with this being the year that SLU could find a way to draw teams to play them that normally wouldn't. One of the biggest things that I feel like is always a selling point for playing SLU, especially coming to St. Louis, is it's St. Louis, which is one of the bigger cities in the Midwest, probably, top 5 big cities. I don't know population wise. I'm not going to get into that, but it's a bigger city, and Chavetz Arena is one of the best venues in college basketball, hands down.
The best.
I mean, it's got some of the nicest facilities, and it's really not that hard to pack if you think about it. And when Chavetz is filled, it's a blast to play in. So that being one of the bigger selling points, in my opinion, you now have lost that.
Yeah.
So that's now
it's now pure. I mean, scheduling is purely a numbers game now, which we will. I mean, it's a purely numbers game, and it's a bubble.
It's a numbers game, and it's probably to a certain degree regional.
Convenience. Yeah, convenience.
Safety for travel.
So,
which is interesting again because, like I said earlier, and as we've talked about, just with the way that the conference are set up, St. Louis University is in the Atlantic 10. We are the farthest travel for anyone in the conference, and we have the farthest travel to every game out of any team. I mean, you get the point. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out, but it is a little bit surprising that we haven't somehow found Memphis still in our
I'm surprised
non-conference sphere of interest, because even if it's not the home and home, and I guess going up to Nebraska is kind of moving the opposite direction. I don't know. I haven't even paid a lick of.
I mean, you wonder if you'll run into Creighton as well, which would be cool.
That would be nice.
I'd love to play Creighton.
Yeah, I would be very excited about that. Seems like it's right now is the time to maybe beat up on Wichita State. Apparently, is that too soon?
No. Shout out all my my Omaha homies.
There you go. I mean, if this is predictable, it was expected. It makes sense from a standpoint of I would just honestly prefer that this was pushed back, so if there's a chance we can watch live games next year or whatever. Yeah,
I could still see them pulling off a game, but then
Well, but that is also then I think that this decision is actually the best case scenario for Billikens fans, because then there's that possibility that you set up that non-conference game this year and still get the home and home for the next 2 years after this. So,
indeed.
He says. So there's that. That's fun. On to some more team-specific stuff. Ray Giacolleti was promoted to assistant head coach for the St. Louis University Billikens. Shout out to Ray Giacolleti.
We thought it was going to be Mike Wilson, but it didn't make the cut.
Well, I mean,
I'm just giving him trouble.
No, I know. But I mean, the funny thing about you saying that, I get not really funny, but like when I look at the coaching staff around Travis Ford, we've talked to Ford Stewart. We've talked to a lot of these guys. Well, I shouldn't say a lot of these guys, but we've either listened to them talk on the radio, we know them from their experience in the St. Louis area, or any various forms of like communication that they've put out. It feels to me like everyone outside of Travis Ford is basically on the same playing field in terms of
Yeah.
it's just it's a group of guys that can interchangeably fill and be put in whatever role need be, which is, I don't know if that's unusual or uncommon, but it feels to me like that is maybe one of the most united coaching staffs I've ever seen, because it feels like there's always that second-hand man.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's a complete opposite of what you saw with Rick Majerus, with the revolving door of he was always bringing somebody in from the outside, not necessarily promoting from within. But you love to see coaches get hired away, obviously, because that means that Travis is pushing the envelope with his assistants.
Yeah.
I think Giacolleti is a great addition, obviously, to the actual coaching staff. He was instrumental last year in the Dayton games. Both of them helped. He was on the scout and helped push the Billiken or push Dayton to the edge, in both of those games.
Yeah.
And he also filled in admirably for Corey Tate, and it'll be exciting to have Corey Tate back this year as well. So that'll be good.
I think to your point about the Dayton game and the revolving door of scout teams, I think that we had the conversation with Ford about it. And I think that just also is another key point. I'll touch on it once again, because it just seems like we do end up repeating ourselves a lot these days. That is something that I love about the way that this coaching staff is set up. You have one coach that is focusing on, a game that's 3 games away or 2 games away or whatever it is. And then this coach is focusing on the next game, and this other coach is focusing on the one in between there. And then you just keep rotating through. And you've got guys that are specifically focused in on those games. And you also have multiple guys that you can trust at that level. Again, I feel like, and to your point about the Rick Majerus era and the way that coaching staff was set up, he had Porter, who was his right-hand man. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like it was clear, at least from the outside looking in, maybe there's a different perspective from the inside, but it was clear, at least from the outside looking in, that Porter Moser was on a different level in that coaching staff in Rick Majerus' mind than probably most other guys. Not that he didn't have respect or appreciation, but I mean, again, clear-cut difference. And this is case in point for how Travis is running his program right now. And I mean, love it because it's working. So shout out to Ray Giacolleti. Congratulations on that one. First day of practice. I believe first day of practice was today, day of recording.
Was it Saturday? No, they were waiting for Saturday.
Are they? Okay, I thought everything started on the same day, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, I think they were waiting for Saturday.
Okay, so it'll probably be about the time that this podcast is coming out then. So first day of practice. Congratulations, first day of practice. Yay, where we go. I mean, there's not really much to talk about with that because it's the first day of practice. Oh, you know what it was that threw me off? I saw that Travis Ford brought in a DJ again for the last day of shoot around, and I thought that meant that the next day was the first practice.
That's so cool.
I mean, it's, again, well, okay, I'll do it. I really didn't necessarily think I was going to do this, but let's have this conversation since we're talking about interesting things Travis Ford does that are not necessarily basketball specific. Let's talk about the Dreams video for a second, shall we? For anyone that no, I'm just going to brush over this. And I don't have.
It was funny.
I don't have any specific feeling one way or another. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about or that aren't on Twitter, I strongly, strongly advise you to go watch it because it's just an interesting thing that's happening or that has happened. But Travis Ford did this viral video where it was started by a guy on a skateboard, just skateboarding down the road. I think he's actually skateboarding on on-ramp for a highway or something, drinking a bottle of Ocean Spray, cranberry juice, playing Dreams and singing or like lip syncing to it. Travis Ford recreated that in front of Chaffetz Arena and tops it off by falling off the skateboard at the end of the video. Honestly, the only thing I had to say about it was just shout out to Travis Ford for being like willing to just like have a little bit of fun with himself.
To throw himself down a grassy hill.
Right. I mean, like just have fun and just enjoy it. Like I think that's the biggest thing to me. Again, Travis Ford is enjoying himself.
Can you let's run this down. Jim Cruz, would he have done it?
Nope.
Rick Majerus.
I mean, okay, come on now. I mean,
Hold
I think,
on.
but
Brad Soderberg.
maybe I don't know. I don't. It seems like from Anthony Drea, he seemed like he was a pretty like easy guy to go along with, and I mean,
It's a pretty wholesome deal too. Lorenzo Romar,
no.
Charlie Spoon.
Would it have been funny?
Yeah. Would he have broken his hip? Yes.
You know what would have been even better, considering that we now know that Spoon and Brett Hall were good friends. If we got both of them on the skateboard at the same time to do the video together, and then watch the both of them try to figure that out. Now that would have been a terrific video. Maybe I'm the only person that wanted to see that, but I mean, come on. No, you're right. There's not been a lot of coaches that, and again, it's not fair to say that because social media has really blown up. I would say more or less from the time that Rick Majerus took over as the head coach at St. Louis until now. That's really when it's just evolved into what it is right now as we're seeing it. But I don't know that there was anyone that had that kind of either open personality or willingness to just kind of, I don't know, be goofy, be silly, and not be, the serious, quirky on the court guy, whatever that looks like.
We could go into the social media aspect, we could go into a long diatribe, or I could anyway. I think multiple people know my feelings on the team blue tag and how it's used, but
I'm not trying to diatribe. I just thought it was funny. If anyone,
no, it was very funny. I kind of wish they would have had a different ending. I mean, I guess he's falling downhill. That's hilarious, and I mean, if it gets people talking, it gets people talking. So.
Yeah, like I said, I respect the fact that he did it. I thought it was terrific that he has that willingness. And then back to the original point that I talked about when we got all this whole kind of side conversation was Travis Ford once again bringing in the DJ to for the last day of open shoot around. I mean, it's just
he gets it. He gets what the players want, and he or what they respond to, and he pushes the right buttons.
Well, and that's also, again, that's part of the continuity of this was something that happened last year. We're going to continue doing it, pandemic or not. We're going to find a way to make this a regular season, and this was something we did last year, and we're going to continue to do it. We're going to have fun. This is basketball, and we're going to enjoy this. So, much the same thing happening once again. I mean, I guess the overarching thing here to take away from it is basketball is on its way back. I won't say it's back because I feel like I'm jinxing myself, but we're getting there. We're close. Closer than we were. Better than we thought we would be doing. Better than I thought we would be doing. The last thing at the end here, some updated rankings. Again, I don't really want to talk that much about it just because it really, at this point, doesn't matter all that much. It's just kind of how people respect SLU. First of all, as it's been pointed out, I believe on the message board, what is the bracketology guy? Why am I forgetting his name?
Joe Lenardi.
Thank you. Joe Lenardi. I can't believe I forgot his name. Dropped the Billikens down to, I guess, an 11 seed projected in the NCAA tournament, which are we even certain that they're still going to try to do a tournament? I mean, I know the NCAA has said that, but okay. So projected 11 seed. All right. I mean, if the ACC has their way, then they'll be like 11th out of like 800. So whatever. John Rothstein has the Billikens at 31. There's Mr. Rothstein making his way back in to the conversation again. And I believe someone else had the Billikens at like 29. I had that one written down, but I don't have that in front of me at the moment.
Might have been, was it Parrish?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not. Anyway,
yeah,
consistently the Billikens have sat
and
anywhere.
We saw someone come out with their own A10 rankings.
We did.
Yeah. I don't remember what it was. They basically said Richmond was number 1, which I think we all can disagree with.
Well, are you talking about like a couple weeks back?
No, it was, or maybe it wasn't.
Or someone did like one of those like slideshow blog things. And I did read that it was like 1 and 2 could go either way.
Yes.
Again, I mean, and at this point, it doesn't matter because this is going to change so much and it's just going to be so drastically different. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens. It's just the best thing I can say about it is it's nice to have basketball back. It's nice to be at the very least watching these guys on campus playing together again, doing their thing. It was cool to see the picture today again as they recording Jordan Goodwin with the arch in the background. I thought
That was so cool.
yeah, very
That
cool
was
with
so cool.
the St. Louis flag as well. That was a very well done shot. I'll be curious. I'll be curious to see what happens this year too, because and it's random, and I'm going to try to not get on a long sideshow with this one, but it will be interested to see with broadcasting if they do some kind of like pregame thing where they did it like Shafis. They had the video montage thing at the beginning of games.
Yeah, I wonder if this is a good time for the city to rally around the team.
Well, I think one could
wonder.
argue there's been plenty of those throughout the last at least 2 years.
Well, yeah, I mean, even more so just because, people don't have much else to do. So,
Well, I would argue that outside of Blues hockey, there's not really much to do in the winter anyway. But
yeah, that's true.
I mean, I've been making that argument for a long time now, and no one really listens to me.
You're also a shut-in, but
well, this is very true. So both are true. Well, thank you as always for listening to us. We appreciate it as usual. Make sure first and foremost, a couple of pieces of information real quick to tie up the show. Facebook page. I honestly kind of forgot that we had that. My fault.
I can't believe you got the name fixed. It took me, but then again, every time I'd try, I'd be inebriated in some way, and I just could not figure it out.
Well, that doesn't help for sure.
Yeah.
No, I had to. So what it was? Well, I had to wait for a certain number of days after joining onto the page, and then I forgot about it. Anyway, I got the name fixed. It's all fixed. The Facebook page is up. The Facebook page is ready to go, and I will be posting on Facebook as well. Give us a like. Please share it on Facebook. Help it get out there. Help us get it out there to people. I mean, literally, just please share it. That would just help out immensely to growing this and really. At the end of the day, I think the biggest thing that we're looking for too is just trying to find old players, people that might just somehow come across it that might be willing to go on the show. So there's that also benefit for you guys as well. Make sure if you haven't already, like or subscribe, and rate the podcast wherever you listen to it. Hopefully we'll have some people come on in the future, near future, to do a little bit more than just listen to Zach ramble about possibilities, probabilities, and ifs, whats, and buts. But until then, thank you guys for tuning in. Zach, do you have anything else?
No, thank you guys so much for listening. And it's still, every time I do this, it blows my mind that people listen.
Yeah, and it still blows my mind that we don't have replica jerseys.